Hey everyone, I'm Fred Ranger and I hope you're doing good. In today's video, well, I'm changing the location because I'm tired of sitting at my office. I'm actually also standing up. So you guys tell me if you like this new energy or this new setup. I'm actually in my basement. This is my old school man cave with a bar, with musical instruments and so on, and that, pretty cool brick wall there. So you will see more and more videos coming from this very location. Another update for this channel, I just launched my Patreon page, and a lot of you asked me how you could actually support all the content that I was putting up for free on YouTube, on my Instagram, and also the visual storytelling podcast. And I finally launched it. It took me a while to do it, but now I understand the platform and I'm actually happy that such platform exists. So if you want to support these efforts, if you want to have exclusive content, and if you want to see this content before everybody else, you can head up to my Patreon page at Fred Ranger. So it's patreon.com/Fred Ranger, and you'll be able to donate a small amount every month, or a big amount if you want, to show your appreciation for this content. Today we have the review of the GFX50R, and this is a camera that's been out for a little while now, but I've had a chance to put my hands on it. Thank you so much, Fujifilm Canada, for sending me this review unit. I don't want to send it back, but it will have to go back to you. And if I had $6,000, plus the lens, I would buy it. But right now, I need more Patreons to be able to finance all these cameras. But jokes aside, I want to make sure that you guys understand that this is the first time also that I'm shooting with a medium format camera, and I am in love with a couple things, and there's a couple things that I would do a bit different in a version 2 of this GFX50R. So let's deep dive. The first thing that I really like about this camera is the image quality. I will throw a couple samples on the screen right now, and you will see what I mean when I talk about the image quality. There's a depth to a medium format. There's also the Fujifilm color science that's applied to it, and the raw files, although they're huge files, they are very unique. They have that Fujifilm soul, as I like to call it. I'm actually about to write an article for Fuji Love, so stay tuned for that, where I talk about the Fujifilm soul when it comes to the image quality and the colors and so on. So this definitely has that soul that you find in the other Fujifilm cameras, plus the depth of a medium format camera. So that's the first thing that I really like about this camera. The second thing is the fact that this camera is a rangefinder camera. So if you look at the other GFX camera from Fujifilm, it is a big bulky camera, more along the lines of the traditional medium format cameras, whereas this one, it's very close to X Pro 2. I don't know if you remember the X Pro 2. I had one, I really liked it. Had to sell it to finance the purchase of an X-T3. But the way it's designed is that your nose can breathe here, and you can operate the camera from one hand, because all the buttons are actually right there at the tip of your thumb. You have your menu, you have your playback, display, 2 assignable buttons. That's also one thing that's nice about this camera. You can assign pretty much all the buttons. But this rangefinder style camera, I didn't think that they were able to put a medium format sensor in that type of body, but I guess they did, and it becomes a very portable camera. When you look at the size of it, you can throw it in your bag and you can bring it on your travels. Although it is a bit heavier, I would say, if you compare it to the APS-C, but again, just the size of this sensor makes it bigger by design. The third thing that I really like about this camera is that flip screen. That's another thing that I didn't know was possible for that type of camera. Usually you either have a eyepiece that you can look down like that, or it's the traditional, back EVF. But what they've done here is that they've put a swivel screen, just like they have it on the X-T3 and the X-T2 and all the other Fujifilm cameras. It tilts down also, so you can do like the high angle shots and the low angle shots. The one thing that it doesn't do is it's not, flipping sideways. And that's something that I learned to use over the past several months and past several years actually with my other Fujifilm cameras. And I think it could, if they could implement it here, it would be awesome for the next iteration. So those are the things that I really like about this camera. Also, of course, the beautiful optic. This is the 45 millimeter lens, and I really like this lens on a medium format. It gives this number equivalent on a full frame, but for me, I mean, it was a lens that I used for landscape, and I also used it for portraits even. So I'm going to show again some examples of the photos that I took with this lens, and I really like the weather resistance of this lens and the camera, and also the superior image quality that it gives me on this camera. So those are the things that I really like about this camera. A couple things that I would see as an improvement for moving forward for these cameras is, first of all, I think this little dial here that is an assignable dial, it is wrapping around the shutter button, and I'm not sure about the placement of this dial. I ended up bumping it a lot and changing my ISO, so in the end I ended up, you know, just turning it off and assigning nothing to that wheel, so it didn't change any of my settings without me noticing it. So that is definitely something that I would put as well, somewhere else, or an improvement for the next version of this camera. Another thing that I would do a bit differently is the screen. I mean, although I love it because it tilts up and it tilts down, I would definitely make it, you know, tilt vertically so we can do like those low angle shots. A lot of people are using this camera, including me, for street photography. And you know, when you do street photography, sometimes you want to go low and you want to, you know, be a little bit more discreet. So having that ability to flip the screen just a little bit up would be a very nice addition. And the last thing about this camera is the handling. I mean, it is a big camera, it is a heavy camera, so I would like to see a better grip on this camera. Although it's not bad, it's not as small and as bad in brackets as the XD3. I do have two fingers here. I do have big hands though, but I do have two fingers that are, you know, in the air here. So maybe they could create like a little grip that you can add to this camera. Maybe it exists. If you know about it, tell me down below, but that's something that I would definitely improve in the next version of this camera. So what do you think about this camera? I want to know. I'm going to put some sample image down there. If you go see my Instagram at Fred Ranger, you will be able to see the last, I think, 3 or 4 photos that I've took with this camera. And again, I am totally in love with the medium format. That was my first time shooting medium format. I highly recommend it. If you can, if you have the budget, or if you want to rent it, I think that's a smart thing to do before you buy anything. You won't be deceived by this beast of a camera. I've been Fred Ranger. Enjoy life, be happy, and enjoy your medium format gear. Cheers.